Welcome, everyone. I am Melinda Ann with Commtrex, and we're honored that you have joined us today for this opportunity to learn more about the Transload marketplace. Should any questions arise during the presentation, please type your queries into the question box located to the right of your screen in the gray. If you press the arrow, the drop down will come down and you'll be able to see where you can put your questions in there. Send them to me. All questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. We're excited to introduce you to the Transload marketplace, and it is my pleasure now to introduce the founder and CEO of Commtrex, Martin Liu.
Thank you very much, Belinda. Welcome everyone to the Commtrex Transload webinar. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us to learn more about the exciting new marketplace that we'll be launching here in a few weeks. As Belinda stated, I'm Martin Liu, the CEO and founder of Commtrex. What this webinar will be doing is, this webinar is going to be specifically focused on transloaders, and we focus specifically on looking for transloaders that are looking for ways to increase their exposure to shippers, and also looking for ways to have another channel of commercial opportunities. By the end of this webinar, my goal is to provide an actionable plan for all of you to understand how the Commtrex Transload marketplace will help your business. Throughout the webinar, we're going to be covering a few different points. Number one, how to search for transload facilities. I'm going to be walking you through from the perspective of a shipper. Also, we'll be showing you how easy it is for shippers to submit requests to all the transload facilities within our marketplace. We'll also be talking to you about why this marketplace could be another channel for new business opportunities. And then lastly, how you can add your locations to the marketplace. At the end of the webinar, we'll be taking questions, and I'll be happy to answer or address any questions that you may have. With that said, I'm going to start off by providing an overview of Commtrex and then jump right into the demo. I started Commtrex back in 2015. The real goal back then was to figure out a way to create an online marketplace where shippers can have one centralized location to be able to find multiple resources and data and information for helping them manage their shipments via rail. I was formerly a shipper in a past life. I was a commodities trader on JP Morgan's coal desk. We were shipping anywhere between 5 to 7 million tons per year across US and Canada, and then we rail, barge, and then midstream it onto an ocean-going vessel and export coal. So my experience was specifically with dry bulk shipments outside the East Coast, West Coast, and then through the Gulf. And with that said, I always thought that there had to be an easier way for shippers to be able to manage their shipments. The problems that we were trying to solve when we were building the marketplace was, number one, really trying to create transparency into what's available resource-wise across the US and Canada for all shippers. Also to create transparency with respect to information and data. I always thought it was difficult to be able to find out what prices were for storage rates, for transload rates, for leasing rates, and for many other pricing sort of data points that were helpful and important to my movements of product. And I thought to myself, if there was a way for an online marketplace to facilitate all this information in addition to creating a mechanism which connects rail shippers with all the supply side of the market, so that being the short lines, the class ones, transloaders, storage providers, railcar repair shops, industrial switchers, railcar cleaning companies, that should all be done through a centralized system. The generational shift that's taking place right now with over 10,000 baby boomers retiring daily is going to really change the way the next generation of shippers manage their products and logistics. Today, in 2020, over 50% of our global workforce are millennials, and by 2025, 75% of our global workforce will be millennials. So we're talking about a whole new generation of digital natives, and as many probably have known or experienced, the next generation of shippers that are looking or talking to right now with respect to commercial opportunities or operational opportunities, many of them prefer to text message, email, Slack, or use digital forms of communication. And what we're building here is just an extension of that. It's providing another mechanism for rail shippers to be able to connect with multiple types of resources on the supply side of the rail industry market. We launched our platform in Q1 of 17, and since Q1 of 17, We've been able to get on over 22,000 rail cars into our system. That's for our leasing and our buy-sell marketplace. We have over 148,000 storage spaces with over 70% of all shoreline railroads in the U.S. and Canada participating. And then we have our rail service directory, which has multiple categories of service providers. And the largest category today is the transload category, which has over 1,400 transload facilities in the U.S. and Canada. We were looking at the data analytics behind all the activity within our system. And what we noticed was the transload component of our platform was getting more traffic, searches, requests, activity than any other component of our system. Storage would be second to that, but transloading about 12 to 24 months ago, we started noticing that the activity was picking up. And because of that, we decided to create a marketplace specifically for transloading. And we are going to pull out the category of transloading within the rail services directory, and it's going to be now a standalone marketplace. So in addition to a leasing marketplace, a storage marketplace, and buy-sell marketplace, which we currently have, our fourth marketplace will be for transloading. The other components to our platform are a Rail Insights module, which provides data insights. So we have a pricing index for storage transactions happening in the system. We have a pricing index for leasing transactions happening in our system. And then we have content which is curated by our community. So shippers are allowed to come in, ask questions to our experts, and experts will come in and answer questions. And then we have well-known rail professionals such as Tony Hatch and Dick Foster and others that contribute their content to our system. As of today, we currently have 3 partnerships in place with 3 Class 1 railroads. We have a partnership with the Canadian Pacific, the CSX Road, and the BNSF. We are in talks with the 4th Class 1 railroad right now. So we may have 4 when we go live in a few weeks. But the real goal here with these partnerships is to make sure that we have coverage across the U.S. and Canada with transload facilities that cover each region. And we also have several short line railroads and large transloaders that are joining the marketplace currently. Now, I'm going to walk you through a demo of the transload marketplace. And as I mentioned before, the marketplace currently resides within the Rail Services Directory. So the difference between the Rail Services Directory and where transloading currently resides and it being moved over to Marketplace is going to be the Rail Services Directory functionality is effectively, think of it as digital storefronts. So we have 2,400 digital storefronts for supply side vendors from industrial switching, railcar repair, railcar cleaning, engineering, fleet management companies, and today transloading. And the functionality is really more informational with the basic ability to ask for information. Now we're going to move it over to the standalone marketplace, and now the functionality is going to be much more robust and expand to the ability for the supply and demand side, so shippers and transloaders, to be able to dialogue, to interact, to provide information on each of the location pages, with the real goal of being able to have the counterparties come to a meeting of the minds on the platform so that they can go offline and execute contracts together. With that said, I'm going to jump over to a demo of the platform. So for those who haven't seen the Commtrex marketplace, I'm going to show you the dashboard, and then I'm going to jump right into the transload marketplace functionality. So what you're looking at now is the homepage of the Commtrex exchange. This is the first page that all of our users will see once they log in. And as you see at the very top, our platform is organized into 6 different modules. If you went into our live environment today, you would only see 5 modules. And there's a caveat before I jump into this. This is our sandbox environment. I am providing this demo through our testing demo environment. So if you see anything that looks off, or if there's anything that looks like it may be incorrect, it's because this is the environment that we test and we also provide demos in. And that the reason behind that is we make sure we don't want to compromise the integrity of the live production environment. So the top modules here reflect all the different components of the system. So you have the storage marketplace, the leasing marketplace, the buy-sell marketplace, the transload marketplace, and then you have Rail Services Directory, and then Rail Insights, which is our data module. What you're seeing here on the screen are these square boxes are called widgets. So each of these widgets, think of them as shortcuts to different components of our system. So this widget here gets you a shortcut directly to your inbox. This Trending Now widget effectively compiles all the different activity that's happening in our system. We take the 5 most searched, requested, most popular locations, and we show the community here the top 5 locations that are being viewed the most. It updates every 15 minutes, and we collect this on the back end, and we also provide this within Rail Insights. We show you of the different locations and different companies that we have on the system or different listings, which are the most popular by week. So you can come back and do a historical search through Rail Insights and be able to determine and look and see which locations have been viewed the most, or which listings of rail cars or storage locations or transit locations have been viewed the most. This is where we feature our partner companies. So we have a current partnership with Canadian Pacific, and this is featuring their CPT Hamilton location. This middle area is a shortcut to the Knowledge and Resource Center. This gets you to the area where we have all of our content. We do have a Rail 101 that's sponsored by CSX Transload. So we provide Rail 101 for transloading, Rail 101 for leasing, storage, and then our newest Rail 101 is for digital strategy. The real goal is not just to be a transaction platform or a data platform, but also to provide an educational component that will help educate the next generation of both shippers and suppliers in the rail industry. And then we have a Rail Newsfeed here, which is a combination of Progressive Railroading and Railway Ages RSS feeds. And then down here you see 3 different shortcuts to existing marketplaces. So you can storage, this is for leasing, and this is for buy-sell. We'll be eventually creating a widget which gets you a shortcut to transloading. So now I'm going to jump into transloading. Now, when you think about our marketplaces and you think about all the components to our system, we're constantly analyzing the analytics to see where it is we can improve interaction and engagement and see where the shippers are focused on. And it's important for us to do that in order to be able to calibrate and continue to build new features and functionality that really helps the demand side of the marketplace. Now, with that said, since the very beginning of the company, we always thought that the focal point of the marketplace or exchange needed to be shippers. If we could find a way to create a valuable tool that allows for shippers to accomplish their goals, whether it be for leasing, for storing, for transloading, or for any other rail services, or we can help them provide them insight and content, and they keep coming back because this becomes their go-to place to be able to find resources relative to these respective modules, we thought that everything else would be able to be built around it. So the center of our universe really is the demand side, the shippers. And today we have over 700 shippers on our system. So we have a very active user base of shippers that range from every single commodity group, from both dry bulk and liquid bulk commodities, and actually gray bulk commodities as well. With that said, the way the marketplace is categorized and organized is very similar to how all the marketplaces and modules set up. You have 4 cards here. This card here is need transloading, and this is provide transloading. I'm going to be walking you through from the perspective of a shipper. I think it's important for the purposes of this demo for you to see how easy it is for shippers to be able to search, identify, and then submit requests to transload facilities. And this is going to be a new way for them to do it. And I think once they do it, similar to when we, several years ago, when we would book flights or hotels or rental cars, we would have to either call the Marriott or call United Airlines. But once Expedia or other websites came up, and now I'd say a majority of people, if not, most people, if not all, now they don't pick the phone up as much. Now they go to Expedia or Priceline, or go directly to United Airlines or to Hertz Rental Cars website. It's just much easier. Instead of picking up the phone, if you have a digital platform that can do all the work for you on the back end. Now, need transloading, provide transloading. So if you're a translator, this is the card that you would go to. And then on the left side, this is organized by need transloading. So these are the basic functionality for all the shippers, and then provide transloading, which is the functionality for the transloaders. So I'm going to walk you through, as I mentioned, the perspective of a shipper. Now, this is going to be a workflow which is different than what we have for storage, leasing, and buy-sell, for those of you who are familiar with it. This workflow is really focused around capturing data and questions and information that can help the transloader qualify the lead that we're about to send them. And also helps the shipper be able to provide criteria that narrows down their search to parameters that work for what they need. The real goal here is to create efficiency for both the supply and demand side to connect and determine whether there's actual commercial opportunity to be done. So what we did to start off with is first we want to find out what commodity is the shipper looking to move. So we've created an actual stick code finder within our system. So we took the actual stick code database, we've integrated it into our system, and here's where a shipper can come and either type in a stick code or a commodity name. So for this demo, I'll say coils, and in the commodity group, scroll down and be looking for metals and products. Click search, and now you can see the different stick codes that relate to coils under the metal and products category. Now let's take strip steel as an example that we're going to use here. So we can click here, click select. Now strip steel is propagated into this particular field. If you have a stick code that you use, you can also type in the stick code. You can use the 5-digit stick code to type into that field, and it will get you directly to the same place. Next, and the next question we ask is, does this require hazmat handling? Because that will take you on a different workflow. If you do choose hazmat handling, we'll show you facilities that has hazmat handling versus those that don't. So we'll say no for this question. Where does strip steel need to be transloaded? So this is where we decided to use zip code as the primary way for us to be able to allow shippers to search for transload facilities. We have a transload advisory board, which is comprised of 12 large shippers across multiple commodity groups. And we use them as kind of a backdrop in addition to our transload partners to really understand how the search process is conducted today. And it was overwhelming majority use the zip code as the way that they look for transload facilities when they're searching for facilities online. Next question is this an origin or a destination move? Now, this question here, we start you off with either origin or destination, but as you'll see when we get to the request form, if the shipper is looking for transload facilities at both the origin and destination, we do provide them with the possibility to be able to get requests from both within one submission of a form. Next question is the radius. How far are you willing to consider transloading outside or within the Chicago area? So we use kilometers and miles because we're in Canada. We have kilometers and then US miles. So we'll use 200-mile radius. And then the last question that we asked is, what is your preferred class on railroad? Now, this is a very rail-centric system. And we understand, and most of our shippers do move freight by rail. So this is a question that we thought was important to be able to help narrow down their search if they knew which class on railroad they want to move on. So they can either choose, and they can choose all of them, they can choose some of them, or they can choose none. So for the purpose of this demo, I'll choose I am unsure because there may be folks that are open to looking at every single class on railroad as a potential mover for their product. Now you're looking at the search screen. So this is the results from our 5 questions that were just asked. So this circle that you see here is effectively the 200-mile radius that we inputted into the field as far as how far out we wanted to be from the Chicago zip code. This flag here represents the 6060 zip code, and then this goes out across. Now, you can scroll down here and you can see the very top, we have our feature locations. So these are our feature partners, and the feature locations is the highest tier of our membership, which gets you higher exposure within the system, and also gets you exposure within our newsletters and social media. And then the other category that we have for subscribers is our verified category, which is denoted by these check marks here. So if you're searching, you can also look at these filters on the left side. So if you know what class 1 you wanted to search, once you got into the screen, or if you didn't know, you can always sort of click into these filters, and you will also have a visual of the class 1 lines relative to the facilities that you're looking at. So what you're looking at is you're looking at both red pins and gray pins. Red pins designate those transloaders that are partners and subscribers with Commtrex. The check marks represent verified locations. The stars represent feature locations. And these gray dots represent locations that are currently on our system, but they are not partners or subscribers. For those of you that are familiar with Rail Services Directory, we currently display contact information and details for all of our transloaders, all 1,400 transloaders in our system. We're having a different process for the transloading marketplace. We're only showing locations, details and contact details for the locations that subscribe and partner with us. And for those that don't, we still provide a way for shippers to see that there is a transload location in that area, So if a shipper saw a gray dot that they wanted to connect with, because the information is there, they click Learn More. And what happens is there's a note that's generated that goes to a Commtrex representative or one of our Commtrex partners, and our representative or partner will contact the shipper and inquire about how they can help them with the Transload facility that is in this area. But really the goal is, if someone's looking for transload in this area, the goal is to be able to push shippers to transload facilities that are subscribers or partners of us. So if somebody was looking for a location in Chicago and they saw this location as a potential option, we would contact them and we'd see if one of our other partner subscribers locations that are nearby could work for them. The real goal here is to drive leads to all of those who actually partner and subscribe with us. So now you're looking at this screen, and now you can start clicking around the different check marks. Each one of these different pins shows you transloaders within the area. Now, you can take these areas, these pins here, and now you can start to click Connect. And as you click Connect, as you see here on the right side, the screen begins to populate with the locations that you're connecting with. And as you click those, these marks, these pins, turn green so that the shipper knows that this is a location that they've already requested a connection from. So there's an unlimited amount of locations that a shipper can use to choose to be able to submit a request to. Additionally, a shipper can come down to the grid and they can look and see which of these locations may have interest in, and before they send a request, they can click on that particular location, and now they'll be taken to a page where they can look at details of that particular transload facility. So the real goal here is to provide as much information as possible to the shipper so that they can better understand that this location is a facility that can handle the transload needs and requests of the shipper. As you can see here, we allow for the transloader to be able to customize their facility. They can add a picture at the top, add their logo, have their name, and then it says whether they're featured or verified. And then now you see the geographic location on the page. Now, a feature that was really important for a lot of shippers was the feature allowing for them to be able to toggle between the satellite and map view. It was almost overwhelmingly stated by all of our shippers that when they looked at transload facilities, that they always looked at Google Earth or they looked at the satellite view. So we've created an ability for shippers to be able to toggle back and forth between satellite and map view so that they don't ever have to leave the transload marketplace, and they can do everything from this screen, and they can try to get into the picture, and now they can see a picture of the facility. And our mapping engine is Google. So this is an R map that we've created. We're using the Google satellite and Earth images for the purposes of this map. On the right side, you see transloading services, and these are all the different questions that we heard from shippers were most important to them when they look for transloading. So product types handled, they do hazmat handling, transfer modes, the serving class on railroads and what dates they're served by. They can put track capacity, what are the security and safety features of the facility. They can list transload equipment, and then what are the additional services that this transload facility provides. And these subcategories here under additional services were all determined, again, by our Transload Advisory Board. We asked them to prioritize by most important to least important the services that they look for when looking or evaluating transload facilities, and these are the parameters, or these are the different data points that they came up with. So as you can see, your product storage options, heating capabilities, coach certification, on-site railcar storage. We asked that all of our transloaders fill this out. And then hours of operation. This is also very important. Many shippers have strict requirements as far as the hours of operation. So this is a component that's very germane to the search process. And then we allow for shippers to add pictures here. So this is an area where pictures can be added, and the transloaders can be able to really show off the facility with images of the facility or images of the transloading equipment or that is on the facility site. And then this is where they can add About Us. So this is where About Us can be created, and you can add content and text that really sort of highlights why a transloader facility is particularly interesting and why it's going to be a compelling location for a shipper to work with. And from this page here, a shipper can click Request Service, or they can get back to this page, and now that they've filled out these locations, they click Request Service, and now they're going to be taken to the process where they can submit a transload request. the very top, the shipper will see your transload requests once completed will be sent to. Here are the locations they chose, and then other transload facilities matching request criteria. So the way our software algorithm works is a shipper will determine the facilities that they want to get requests from, but also if there are other facilities that match the criteria, our software algorithm will also send this request to the facilities that match the criteria. The nice thing about this particular sort of process is that if a shipper didn't want to go through the process of filling out this transload request, they could just log into our system, go to the Transload Marketplace, click Create Transload Request, and skip the process we just went through. They can fill out this form, click Submit, and the software algorithm will do all the work for them without even having to do any searching. So now I'm going to walk you through the transload request process. So this is broken into a few different sections, which after talking to our transload partners, these are the most pertinent information that they need to determine whether there's a qualified commercial opportunity or not. So we start off with ready to schedule or planning and budgeting. It's important for the transloaders to know whether this is an immediate need or is this something that's a potential need, that's a project that may or may not happen. Which currency, looking at Canadian or US, and then what company are you with? So many of our shippers have multiple subsidiaries, so they can have all their operating companies under this category. And then many of them also are able to have multiple people under the contact for request. So logistics groups we work with typically have 1 to 2 or if not more people in the logistics group, so they can determine which of the logistics folks are going to receive the information request responses. This is how long is the request posted until. So here, this defaults to a few months out, but a shipper can come here and they can make the request posted shorter or they can make it longer. If it's shorter, the real idea behind this is let the shippers control how long they want this request up, and then also provide some information to the translator as to how so the timing of when this particular need is coming about. So once that's filled out, you move over to transload service details. And so now you're looking at the start date for transload service. When do they want to start this particular this opportunity? So they can come, the shipper can come back here and they can say they want to start on August 3rd. Here's where the strip still stick code 3312346 was pre-populated because they filled this out in the first workflow of questions. And then here they said no hazmat handling is required, so no. And then this particular field talks to the shipper about what is the term of the service they're looking for. As it says here, this is optional. So if the shipper doesn't know how long they want this or this is an ongoing service, they just leave this blank. Or if they know this is going to be a one-year deal, they would click 1, and here's where they can choose 1 year, but they also can just make it a 1-month deal, a 1-week deal, or make it just a one-spot move. So this controls the term, and then this is the volume of product that's going to be transloaded. So this is where the shipper can come in and stipulate what amount of product they want to transload. They can do that through multiple units of measure. They can do it through carloads, gallons, kilograms, liters, pallets, tons, or by truckloads. Carloads seems to be the most popular among the shippers that we're talking to, and they can say this is 20 carloads per month, per year, per week, per occurrence. So here's the term of the deal, and this is the frequency of the transloading needs that the shipper has. And then this is where the shipper can include any special handling requirements. If there's anything that they want to be able to stipulate for all the transloaders that get this, they can type it in here, and this will also communicate any special handling requirements that the shipper wants to make sure the translator understands prior to responding to this request. Now you move down to logistics. So now as you see, this already pre-populated with Chicago. So this is the zip code that we chose. On the destination side, we ask every single shipper to give us the destination for where they want to move to. So I'll use, for the purposes of this, Houston. And this is where a shipper, if they wanted to also get requests for transloading services at destination, they would come here, they would click yes, do you need transloading at the destination? And they would be able to fill in these parameters here. So as you can see on the origin side, the parameters for what they denoted in that workflow initially are already pre-populated here. So you have 200 miles away from Chicago. This is for at origin. and then this is where they select the transfer mode. Now, the first release of this Transload marketplace is coming out in a few weeks, and the first release will only have rail to truck and truck to rail modes of transportation. We anticipate that by the end of the year, we'll have rail to barge and then potentially rail to ocean-going vessel. But the long-term goal is to be able to provide all modes of transportation within the marketplace, and then eventually we'll build in a warehouse component as well, so that we can provide our shippers with visibility into capacity of warehouse availability. So for the purpose of this move, let's just say this is going to be truck to rail, since we're talking about origin. And then for destination, those services are needed, so we'll click back to no. So here you have the logistics. So now when the transloader receives the request, now they know exactly where it's starting, where it's ending, and then exactly what's the transfer mode they'll be looking at. All of this information that I just went over up here, all mandatory information. And now we're going to move over to the optional section. So this is all rail information, this particular box here. So this is where a shipper can come in and stipulate which class 1 railroads they prefer to deal with, or if they have existing freight rate contract they want to work through. So they can say, I want to go through Canadian Pacific, or I'm going to work with the BNSF because we have freight rates with them. If they have freight rates already, they would click yes. We heard this was an important component so that the transloaders that receive these requests, if they were to fill in the exact class 1s and then also say they have a freight with the class 1 railroad, you'll know that this is a shipper that actually has moved product by rail because they have an existing freight with the class 1 railroad. So that also helps you qualify the lead that you're receiving. And then you move here, and now you're looking at all the different rail car types. So now you can also see, from the transit perspective, what's the rail cars that are going to be moved into our facility. So we allow for the shipper to choose from these different categories. So for the purpose of this, we'll choose gondolas. And then are these rail cars railroad owned? Yes or no? No, they're private cars. And then is this unit train service or manifest service? And then this is not unit train service. And then lastly, additional information. This is where the warehousing requirements can be entered. So if they need bulk storage, particularly outdoor storage, they would click these 2 filters. And then if there's additional requirements or information, they can type it into here. So once you go back through this information, now we're looking at what we have been able to do is the most important information for the transloader to be able to receive in order to determine and qualify whether this is a transaction or a commercial opportunity that they potentially can move forward with. So now the shipper clicks send request. Now that request is going to be sent to the providers or facilities that the shipper stipulated at the very top here. And then also the algorithm will send this to the transloaders in the area that also match the criteria. So now you're looking at, from the shipper perspective, all the requests that this shipper has put in. Now, when we've talked to the shippers about how they currently search for transloading, they typically have groups of projects or groups of facilities or customer deals that they're working on. So what you see here is iteration 1 of how we're managing the request. But over time, we're going to really sort of understand the behavior of our shippers and really feedback to figure out a way to be able to organize and categorize this potentially by projects or by other easier sort of ways for them to be able to view these requests. But with the first release, they'll come out and they'll be able to see a list of all the requests that they've submitted through our system. This red crane icon represents where they're looking for transloading. So if they're looking for transloading at origin and destination, you'll see this red crane icon up here. If they're looking at transloading just at origin, the red crane icon will appear here, but it will not appear in destination. Also, we've created a very easy way for shippers to be able to look at the request and see where they've received offers or where they haven't received offers. So by looking at the red bubbles, so these red bubbles represent requests that have not received offers yet, and the yellow bubbles represent requests that have received offers. So they can always come up here. They want to just to click the red button and they can see just the requests that have not received offers, or if they just wanted to come into the screen and only look at the offers received, they can click that button and it will deduce down to the request that they've received. So I'll show you what an actual request will look like. Now a shipper is coming into the request, and now this is the details of the request that they put in. So here they have Chicago to Kansas City starts immediately, the stick code, and then 45 carloads per month. Now you scroll down, and now these are all the details of the request that the shipper entered. And then now they want to see the offers received. The shipper would come to this offers received tab, and then now they can see the offers received. So if there are multiple offers received on this particular request, this grid would populate. You'd see multiple rows of requests. So for this particular demonstration, we have one. This shipper's received one offer so far. So now we take you into what we call the discussion service offer room, or the deal room. We've broken this room up into what we believe are the three most important components of the system, or of the Transload opportunity. We've broken it up by discussion area. So this is where communication can take place between the shipper and the transloader. So a shipper can come in and ask further questions. Here they can ask, are you able to start right away? They can click Save Changes, and that question will immediately be sent to the transloader vis-a-vis the system. As you can see here, this denotes whether you're talking from the perspective of the shipper, California Coal, or from the perspective of the transloader. We also provide a date and timestamp so that both the shipper and transloader know when exactly the communication was taking place. The next component of this deal room is the actual sort of request terms and the commercial terms of the deal. So we provide a map which shows the request terms and the offer terms. So the request terms are these pins here, and then the offer terms would be this red pin here. So they have a visual of what of the location from origin to the destination, and then they have all the parameters or all the different details around the specific request. So the request terms here, this particular column, are all the shipper request terms, and this column are the offer terms. So this is where the transloader would come in, and this is all the details that they're sending over to the shipper to review and analyze. So as you can see here, transload facility is denoted here. You have the transloading locations, and this is for destination, not for origin. You have the service start dates, stick code for the commodity, hazmat handling, and then you get down to volume. So what is the volume? And this is where the transloader can state whether they can do the 45 carloads, or maybe they can only do 25 or 30 of the carloads of the 45 requested. And this is where they can put the offer in of what they're offering for that particular transload opportunity. And then there's the additional details here. So these are the details of the commercial opportunity. And then the last component of this is documents and contracts. So this is important because safety data sheets and other documents are absolutely part of this process. So shippers and transloaders can exchange information through a cloud-based system here. They can come here, they can choose a file, either download it from their sort of cloud-based drive, or they can download it from their computer, and they just easily upload the attachments here. But this right here has all the key components or essential components for the shipper to manage a transaction. You have the conversation and discussion here. You have all the commercial details, and then you have the contracts that exist. So instead of having to go to your email inbox, your personal folders, maybe you handwritten notes that are sort of somewhere to be found, instead of having to go to 3 or 4 different places to find all these details, we consolidate it all into one area. So now this gives you an idea from the perspective of a shipper of what they see. So now let me take you to the other side. Now, from a transloader perspective, what does it look like once you receive a request? So now I'm going to take you through what a transloader would see. So here's offer solicitations. So this is an example of a request that came in. This gives you the basic details of the request. Now this is where you would click View Request. And now this is where the transloader can actually come in and look at the request and see if this is a request that they would like to reply to. So here are the details for the request. At the very top, you have the location for the transload. When does it start? The stick code and commodity, and then what's the volume of the transload opportunity. And then here's where you have all the details of the request laid out. If this is an opportunity that that you would like to pursue, you click Discuss Requester, Discuss with Requester, and this is where you're going to be taken to this screen here. where, as you can see on the right side, these are open fields that the transloader can come in and be able to customize in order to respond to the shipper. Now, the real goal here is to make this as easy as possible for the shipper and transloader to communicate. So, we really try to boil down the options for what can be filled out to what we think are the most important components. So you have the contact information, the company, the expiration. So for any offer that's made, you can put what the expiration date is. If you have multiple transload facilities, you would have all your transload facilities listed here, and you can choose what facility this is specifically for. When would the service start date? So they wanted June 1st. You can come in and you can say, I can't start until June 24th, for example. And then down here, you can see they need blending as a special requirement. And then here you can see 20 carloads per month. You may not be able to do 20 carloads per month, but you may be able to do 10. And then estimated price. So we fixed the price based upon what the currency the shipper would like to see the offer come in. So this is in USD, and this is where we also fixed the unit of measure that the shipper would like to see the offer in. So as you can see, this is fixed and this is fixed. And the reason why is, as I mentioned before, we want to make sure that this is something that shippers find valuable and useful, and if these are the terms or that they would like to be able to see or view an offer in, we want to make sure that the translator responds in that same framework. So this is where they can come in and say this is a $500 per truckload, and then you scroll down, and now this is where they can put additional information. And if you're a translator and you wanted more information, you can always request a safety data sheet, or if you had a marketing brochure or you had some other information that you thought was important to share with the shipper, you can append a file here by clicking upload another attachment. And then at the bottom, this is where the discussion area is. So this is where you could come in as a translator and ask any questions that have to do with this particular commercial opportunity. Now, the real sort of nice sort of for us, the real simplicity of this is trying to make this process as easy as possible for shippers. We want for shippers to come in here and be able to, within a few clicks and a quick search, be able to connect with all the different providers within our system. So as a provider, we also want to make it very easy for you to be able to come in and manage all the opportunities in the system. So what I just showed you was the process that we went through in order to engage in discussion for requests that you received. And then this process here, this screen here shows you the offers that are made. So no current offers made, but here's all the historically, this is where all the offers are made. So everything that you do in the system is all going to be managed and held and recorded in the system, so you can always come back as a translator and be able to reference deals that you were in discussion with on the system. So this is the testing environment. So that was an example of a sandbox environment issue. So this particular offers made screen will catalog all of the different offers that are made. With that said, I'm going to stop there, and I am going to take questions. I want to make sure that I have ample room to be able to address any questions from anybody that we have on the call. And please ask me anything that you would like to, and we want to make sure that this is as interactive as possible. So please feel free to jump in and ask away.
Martin, thank you so much. Apparently, you were extremely thorough because currently we have no questions. So you must be a good explainer. I would really like to give people a couple minutes here. On the right-hand side in your panel there in the gray, there's a little arrow and it says questions. And if you push that little arrow, it'll show you a box where you can ask a question if you have any. And then, of course, Martin's put his contact information up here as well.
So, Melinda, well, I'll take this time while folks are gathering their questions, if they have any questions at all. Let me now talk about how translators can join the marketplace. This is a subscription-based marketplace. So we are offering two different types or levels of subscriptions. We have a verified subscription and a featured subscription. So the verified subscription is the baseline, and the price for on a per month basis is $199 per location per month. But right now we are running a pre-launch special because we want to try to get on as many transloaders as possible. So we're offering $99 per location per month for all transloaders. And you can do this either on a one-year basis, or you can do this on a multiple-year basis. And then for featured, for those who want even more exposure, for those who want to show up at the top of search, who want to appear in our newsletters and in our social media, feature locations are $4.99 per location per month. So those are the two different tiers of packages. And if anybody has any further questions as to what comes along with those packages, or if any details around those specific issues or topics, please feel free to reach out to me or reach out to one of my colleagues who will probably be sending over an email to make sure and ensure that there's not any questions that we have not covered.
Okay, we got one more question here. Are there transloading locations at railcar repair shops?
Yes. So if you have a transload location which also has repair shops, you can add your transload facility, and then you can say there are additional services. But the transloading marketplace is exclusively for transloading locations. We understand that there are several services that transloaders or repair shops or storage providers can offer. So you can also, when you're communicating in the About Us section of your location page, when you're communicating details about the transload facility, you can also stipulate the information around the repair facility and what type of services you offer from the repair side. In addition to that, if you wanted to market your repair facility services, you can also sort of advertise within our rail services directory. We have a rail repair facility category, and that category has storefronts. I think we have about 50-ish plus repair shops currently in the U.S. and Canada. But that, if you just wanted to explicitly market your repair shop, you can market it there, and then also in that particular location, in that digital storefront, you can also reference the transload facility as well. But if you're looking specifically at transloading, you can denote all the different services that you offer within your location page.
Great, thanks, Martin. So I don't have any other questions. Does anyone else have any other questions they want to get in there before? Okay, I think we got them all.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Hopefully I give everyone back 11 minutes of their time. The real goal of this was to be able to demonstrate to you the ease and simplicity of using our transload marketplace. As you can see, this is going to create a very simple and quick way for shippers across North America to be able to identify, find, and enter into discussion with transloaders. As I mentioned, we have over 700 shippers on the system, and of all the different categories within our system, transloading has been by far and away the most searched category. Storage would be number 2, and for those of you who may know, we have a very active storage marketplace with several requests coming out every week, and shippers actively looking for storage opportunities very consistently. We believe that our storage is a very successful marketplace, and transloading has the potential to eclipse the storage marketplace in activity because shippers are looking for transloading more frequently, and it seems to be a lot more cumbersome and onerous for them to be able to find facilities. I'm going to leave the slide up here for a second if anyone wants to write down my contact information, and then we'll be following up with all of you on this call to see if we can address any other questions or concerns following this webinar. Thank you again, and have a wonderful week.